of the world, now I'm living. And the good just gets better, keeps on giving. Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter, yeah.
Hey there, it's Ann Perry, and today we're going to be talking about the power of the number 0. How does the 0 add to your birth code? I want to take a minute to shout out to Ellie Sugar, who suggested that I do a video on this. Thanks, Ellie. There's lots of people actually recently have sent me a message saying, hey, we need a video on the 0. So in keeping with that, I've put together a very simple presentation because you know what? I like simple. I'm kind of a simple kind of gal. I like simple. And I get a little frustrated when I'm trying to research things on the internet and it's just so way out there, especially when it comes to, topics of spirituality and whatnot. It's too hard for the average guy to follow. It's too hard for me to follow. So I've made this really simple. So I'm hoping you'll enjoy it and get a lot out of it. So let's take a look at what the 0 has in store for us. So the number 0 is often not acknowledged by numerologists. Now, if you've been following my work, you know that I like to work with composite numbers. So what's a composite number? Well, a composite number is a number that is two numbers rather than a single number. So, for example, when I look at somebody's life path number, if their life path number is a 25-7, I really look at what that 2 and the 5 mean. Well, also, if somebody was born on the 10th, the 1 and the 0, I look at that 0. The 0 is very important, and I'll explain why here in a second. So, but it isn't often acknowledged by a lot of numerologists, so I just want to point that out there. If you're not seeing it, it's just because other numerologists don't necessarily talk about it. But it does hold a very important place in number meanings and how to interpret them. So it indicates that direct spiritual assistance is really readily available related to the number that's next to the 0. And again, we're going to look at that a little further here in a second. It is the amplifier of all numbers. So if a 0 is sitting next to, say, a 3, it's going to amplify the 3. Okay, so if you were born on the 30th day, for example, that's going to amplify the 3 energy. It indicates a need to develop your intuition. Anybody who was born on like the 30th or the 20th or the 10th are very, very intuitive people. And these people are meant to develop their intuitive gifts. You're meant to study things like numerology, astrology, tarot, divination techniques, whatever, but you're meant to really get in touch with your spirituality. And I think also it's related to the fact that, you created your date of birth based on what you wanted to learn before you came, right, when you were creating your birth code. And within that, if you put in the 0, it's like there's an agreement that you're going to have a little bit more assistance from a spiritual realm to help you in that area. So if you're born on the 10th, the 1 would be about ingenuity and invention and being a leader and et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk about that here again in a second. But it is the amplifier of all numbers, and it encourages us to really develop intuitive wisdom surrounding those numbers that sit next to the 0. So it does bring in a spiritual component. And when the 0 appears in a reading, we know that that is influencing all of the other numbers in the reading as well. So let's take a look at that a little further. Let's take a look at the numbers that are affected by the number 0. So 10, the number 10. The 1, when we look at the number 1 over here, okay, the 1 represents qualities with regards to leadership, intuition, creativity. The 1 is all about being the visionary, all about being the inventor, a pioneer, self-starter, and someone who's a really great manifester. And so when we see the 0 next to that, we know that the 0 is amplifying all of those qualities. Okay. Now there's a positive side and a negative side that can go to that amplification depending on how you respond to it. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. So the 20th, as we're looking at the 20th, we know that the energy of the 2 relates to people who are very sensitive. They're counselors. They're really good one-on-one, very cooperative. They like to be team players. They're mediators because they really don't like any kind of animosity or negative energy around them. So they try to be the mediator and try to maintain a Zen environment. They're organizers. They're harmonizers. And they're just very intuitive team players. When we look at the number 30, we look at the number 3 over here. That's all about creative potential and creative expression. So it's verbal or artistic expression, being a team leader, because it's more than one person, it's more than 2 people, it's 3 people on the team. It's about imagination, again, brings in the visionary, and even musical talent as well exists with somebody who was born on potentially the 30th day. The number 40, when we look at the number 4, okay, it's a planner, a builder, somebody who's very, very detail oriented, someone who can create systems, and put them into place. They're analysts, great managers, very logical people, very grounded, very practical people. All right, so when we look at the positive and the negative influences of the 0, remember that the 0, when we see that next to the 1, it creates obviously the number 10. But in numerology, we break down, if you're born on the 10th day, it actually comes down as a 1. But we need to pay attention to the fact that the 0 is there and it means something. So think of it as a turbocharged number 1, okay, or a turbocharged number 2, 3, or 4. So we have the opportunity to act positively or negatively, depending on how we respond to the circumstances that we receive in our life. So if you're acting on the positive side of the 10 energy, being influenced positively by the 0, this is somebody who is very self-directed, very much a leader. They're the innovators, they're assertive, and they're very balanced. There's no real big ego going on with the 10 if they're operating in the positive. Now, if they're operating in the negative, they can be very aggressive, they can be very arrogant, low self-esteem. These are the bullies, okay? These are the people that really lack confidence, and so what do? They push back like snarly bears, right? They're no fun to be with when they're negative, okay? You know them. You've probably worked with them before. I know I have. Those born on the 20th, the positive side of the 20th is that these people are very positive, sensitive people. They're cooperative, they're mediators, harmonizers, very intuitive people. But acting in the negative side of that, they can be very, very shy and introverted, subservient, complainers, too emotional, really overly sensitive. They can become codependent and really insensitive to everybody else, blaming everybody else. Now, those with the energy of the 30, born on the 30th, these people can be very positive people. Again, the positive side of them is that they're very joyful, they're very witty, they're artistic, very optimistic, very, like I said, very positive kind of people, great sense of humor and super creative. But when they're in the negative side of life, when they're responding in a negative way and not really using the best of their talents and their abilities, they can become very moody. The 3, one of the downsides of the 3 energy is that they can become very unfocused, right? And they don't finish things very well. They can be vain and sarcastic, a little too witty at times. They can be a gossip and be very judgmental. And under all that is just a real line of insecurity. The 40, and working from the positive, would be a planner, a builder, detail-oriented, systems creator, manager. The negative side would be somebody who was stubborn, a procrastinator, someone who's very negative and confrontational, and they come from a bit of a half-empty cup. You might be wondering why I included the 40, because obviously it was not a 40th day, but it is possible for somebody to have a 40/4 life path number, so that's why I included that. So likewise, if you're born on the 10th day, the 20th day, the 30th day, this all applies. If you have a life path number of a 10/1, 20/1, 20/2, 30/3, or a 40/4, this is all going to apply as well. And so there you have it. I tried to keep this short and sweet and not too complicated. I could have gotten into the 0 is all about the infinite and the emptiness and the fullness and all that stuff. But you know what? You don't really need to know that. I think what you really want to know is, how is it affecting you? What's it mean to you specifically? And that's where I'm all about, right? I just want to help you to understand your charts and understand what really makes you tick and what makes you unique, because you guys are special. And I want to make sure that you acknowledge that and embrace all of it. So stay in touch, stay awesome. I want you to check out my website if you can. It's www.annperrynumerologist.com. I do have a blog there that you might want to check in on. I also have a newsletter you can sign up for. If you want to know what the online courses are that are coming up, you need to sign up for that newsletter. Pretty excited about that. It's coming very soon. I also have a very active Facebook page, so you might want to follow me there. I post something new and interesting every single day. on Facebook. And of course, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel, because you know what? I'm trying really hard to build community, and I love communicating with you guys because you guys are numerology keeners and you're my peeps, okay? I'm all about what you're interested in, and you're all about what I'm interested in, or you wouldn't be here. So if you want to have a bit of fun and hang out, I would really appreciate you subscribing to my channel. If you've got any questions, or if you have an interest in a video that I haven't created, send me a message. I really appreciate it, because sometimes I go a little, I lose track of what's important and what isn't important and what needs to happen and what I need to share with you guys. So you know what? All suggestions are greatly appreciated. Anyways, you guys have a great day. I'm hoping that you'll tune into my next video, and we'll see you on the other side. Have a good one. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.